Hi everybody, welcome back. I wanted to talk some more about auctions, and this time to go into the finer detail of auctions and actually explain whether auction may be the correct route for you to go down or whether open market sale by private treaty might be more appropriate. Pros and cons. Now the great thing about having a property in the auction is that when the hammer goes down, then you know that that price is fixed. That's the final price that the property will achieve, and then typically 14 days later that money will be placed into your bank. So it's great if you want certainty, you want a quick sale, and you want to know where you're going, and you want to create an open market competition between competitive bids from developers, builders, and maybe even first-time buyers has been known. And so what happens is there's competition in the room and euphoria. How do we get there? Well, there are two prices that are key. The first price is what we call the reserve price. Now the reserve price is the price that the property cannot be sold below. So let's say we've got a property that's on the market for 500 typically, then its reserve price in order to be attractive at auction might need to be 425,000. Now the reserve price, if it reaches the reserve price, you have to sell. So when you hit that reserve price, you know that the property will be sold at the end of that session, that particular auction. So typically it goes above that, but we're looking for a discount of roughly 25% of the asking price, and then from there the competitive bidding may push the price much higher. So from a seller's perspective, the great thing about auctions is the certainty that's behind it, and if you have a dilapidated lot or maybe a flat with a short lease, or you just indeed want to be sure you get a quick sale, then that can be great for that. And also sometimes we get way over the asking price on the private market, let alone at auction. So it's not necessarily the case that properties always go for less than they would in the equivalent open market sale. However, you do need to bear in mind that auctioneers will want to set the reserve price at a level where it will sell in the room. The reason for this is that frankly all auctioneers want good records. They want to be able to say we sold 80% in the room, so that others have confidence that they're likely to sell when it goes to their particular auction. And each auction house of course competes on this. And by the way, on our last auction it was an 83% sale rate. In order to achieve this, we need to be sure that we're setting really competitive reserve prices, because obviously if we went too high with the reserve prices, then clearly the lot may not sell, and if the lot didn't sell, that would affect the percentages, and frankly that's not good for the auction house or indeed the seller. So you do need to bear in mind that the price has to be below current open market value as a commitment from you, the seller, so that if it sells for that amount, then actually you are resigned to the fact that it's gone. It may well be, and typically does, reach above the reserve figure. However, once it hits the reserve, you are bound by law to sell at that price. There's another price that's important as well. This is called the guide price. Now when you receive the auction catalogue, or if you've ever looked in auctions, you'll see that there's a price attached to each lot that says guide price. The guide price is not the reserve price. These two are different. The reserve price is the price at which the property can be sold for that or above. The guide price is typically lower. Why would it be lower? Well, that's to appeal to the natural greed of us all, so that when we look at a property and say, oh, that looks really cheap, I must get in the room and bid for that, then obviously when the auctioneer says how many people will bid for this lot, then the number of people that are interested are hopefully very high, and therefore the adrenaline goes, lots of hands go up in the room, and we end up getting pushed to well over the reserve price, which is what the sellers, the auctioneers want, and the sellers as well, of course. So two prices to be mindful of. Number one is the reserve price. If you cannot commit to sell for the reserve price that the auctioneers are advising you should be set at, then auctions are not for you, because once it reaches the reserve price or above, it will be sold in the room. The guide price, that's slightly different in that that's normally set lower. The reserve price is the one that's really crucial to you. Generally speaking, the reserve price is not known. So it's only when it reaches that price that it can be sold, and it's only in the room that we discover what that reserve is. If the particular lot didn't reach reserve, then it would just be withdrawn as it didn't reach reserve. Hope this clears things up for you on that side. Now in terms of fees, fees are typically 2.5% for the average auction lot plus a VAT of course, and that is payable once the sale goes through, and the auctioneers will take care of that via the solicitors as usual. As far as the buyers are concerned, they're committed on the day, they pay a deposit and usually a buyer's fee, and then from there they have 14 days or sometimes longer depending on the particular contract. The other thing to consider as a seller is that you will need to ask your solicitor to prepare a sales pack, because the information that's normally provided to a buyer post agreement of sale is actually provided in advance. So there's a seller's pack attached to every auction lot, and sellers can drill through to that, usually by clicking through or requesting it from the particular auctioneer, and then they can look through and see things like the searches, inquiries, whether there are any particular issues that they should be aware of. So all things said and done, if you're looking for a quick sale and you're prepared to take a price that is below the current open market value, then auctions are great and an ideal vehicle for you. If you've got an unusual property, then it could be that auctions are the best way of getting rid of it quickly. And generally, you just need to bear in mind that once it hits the reserve price, that is a price that you will be committed to sell for, and so you need to discuss that very carefully with any potential auctioneer. Hope this has been helpful and really put some meat around the bones of our last discussion about auctions. And if you're considering putting your house or property, flat, commercial, whatever it is in the auction, then we need to talk. Please do give me a call. Until the next time then.